Hello friends. Hope you are well. Today video is about the British Empire, so let's start the video without wasting any time. The story of the British Empire is an intriguing tale of growth and impact that unfolded over several centuries. It kicked off in the late 1600s and early 1700s when England started setting up its first colonies in the Americas and the Caribbean. The empire really took off in the 18th and 19th centuries, with Britain emerging as the top colonial power, claiming lands across Africa, Asia, the Americas, and the Pacific. This expansion was fueled by trade, exploration, and military might, often influenced by mercantilist ideas. By the early 20th century, the British Empire was at its peak, becoming the largest empire ever. But after World War I and even more so after World War II, it started to wane, leading to a wave of decolonization in the mid-20th century as many colonies achieved independence. Nowadays, the impact of the British Empire can still be seen in the cultural, legal, and political aspects of its former colonies. The size of the British Empire, the amount of land and number of people under British rule, changed in size over the years. At its height in 1922, it was the largest empire the world had ever seen, covering around a quarter of Earth's land surface and ruling over 458 million people. The 16th century is often referred to as the Age of Discovery. New thinking about the world and better shipbuilding led to more exploration and the discovery of new lands. England, in what is now Britain, wanted more land overseas where it could build new communities, known as colonies. These colonies would provide England with valuable materials, like metals, sugar and tobacco, which they could also sell to other countries. The colonies also offered money-making opportunities for wealthy Englishmen and provided England's poor and unemployed with new places to live and new jobs. But they weren't alone. Other European countries were also exploring the world, discovering new lands and building empires, too. The race was on, and England did not want to be left behind. The first English colonies were in North America, at the time known as the New World. Creating colonies was no easy task for the English. In 1585, the famous explorer Sir Walter Raleigh tried and failed to build an English settlement at a place called Roanoke in Virginia. It wasn't until 1607 that Captain John Smith founded the first permanent English colony at Jamestown in Virginia. Over time, the English would claim more and more territories. This sometimes meant fighting with other European nations to take over their colonies. Over the course of the 17th and 18th centuries, England gained major colonies in North America and further south in the West Indies, today known as the Caribbean islands. Here, the climate was perfect for growing crops like sugar and tobacco, so they set up farms known as plantations. Trading settlements were also created in India by a company called the East India Company. This company became so powerful, it allowed England to control of the trade of luxury goods like spices, cotton, silk and tea from India and China, and it even influenced politics. The years 1775 to 1783 were a turning point in British history, as the nation lost a huge part of its empire in the American War of Independence. Feeling American rather than British, and resentful of sending money back to Britain, 13 colonies in North America united and fought to be free from British rule. With the help of Spain, France and the Netherlands, they won the war, and gained independence, becoming the United States of America. This marked the end of what is now called the First British Empire. Although Britain had lost a huge part of its North American territories, it claimed new lands in the late 18th century and early 19th century, forming the Second British Empire. Colonies were founded in parts of Australia, and later Trinidad and Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, Singapore and Hong Kong, China, as well as other parts of Asia. From 1881 to 1902, Britain competed with other European empire builders in what became known as the Scramble for Africa. By the early 1900s, huge parts of Africa, including Egypt, Kenya, Nigeria and large areas of southern Africa, all came under British rule. The British Empire was larger and more powerful than ever. Over the course of the 20th century, Britain's empire broke down in stages. After the First World War, 1914 to 1918, there was a feeling of nationalism sweeping the globe, whereby countries should have the right to be independent and rule themselves. In 1926, Canada, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa became independent, meaning they were no longer under British control. So, why were these countries given independence first? Well, by this time these countries had large white populations of European descent, living under the rule of formal governments. They were therefore considered to be more experienced and able to run their own country successfully, which would benefit the empire as a whole. Racist views held by the British at the time meant that other British colonies, with large populations of non-white people, weren't granted independence, even when they asked for it. Over the next decades, however, the remaining colonies continued to push for independence. After the Second World War, Britain no longer had the wealth or strength to manage an empire overseas. Many colonies had fought for the British during the war, although people of color were mainly given low-rank positions, and were making their own plans for independence. In 1947, India won its independence, and from the 1950s to 1980s, African colonies also fought for and won their independence. The last significant British colony, Hong Kong, was returned to China in 1997. What had taken hundreds of years to build, was broken down far quicker. That said, there are some small fragments of the British Empire that still exist today, known as British Overseas Territories. These are mainly self-governing countries separate to the United Kingdom, that continue to share a bond with Britain. They include Anguilla, Bermuda, British Antarctic Territory, British Indian Ocean Territory, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Falkland Islands, Gibraltar, Montserrat, Pitcairn Islands, St. Helena, Ascension and Tristan da Cunha, South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands and Turks and Caicos Islands. That's it for today guys, hope you like the video. See you in the next video, goodbye.